Hello and welcome to the United Community Channel. My name is Jack and this is your latest Manchester United news. And what should be a very positive day for Manchester United, for me personally, is turning into a bit of a fucking pain in the arse, I have to say. The knives are out for Erik Ten Hag. Some of the reports coming out today in relation to, Erik Ten Hag and what went on over the last couple of weeks and, the FA Cup final, and was he actually really in charge, and was he actually making the tactics and making the decisions? We're going to go through it all, but the knives are out for Erik Ten Hag. A lot of different outlets and a lot of different journalists who, by the way, knew absolutely nothing this time yesterday, supposedly all of a sudden know everything about what happened. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to go through some of the talking points, and we're going to throw a little bit of salt over the wounds just to, absolutely sting him. So we're going to talk a little bit about it. We're also going to talk as well about Erik Ten Hag's contract extension. We've got some news in relation to maybe the length at which his contract will be extended. We know that, they are in negotiations at the moment about that. We're going to talk a little bit about Dan Ashworth as well. Mike McGrath has been speaking about the deal that United are trying to do, or the lack thereof a deal with United and Newcastle. We've got some updates, guys, in relation to outgoings, and according to reports today, a couple of homegrown players are going to be up for sale this summer, and if the right offers come in, United will look at it. We're going to give an update on Mason Greenwood as well. He has supposedly said yes to moving abroad permanently, so we'll talk about that. And we have a big update from the Lille president in relation to two players that Manchester United are interested in that I suppose will benefit us in some way. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well. But as always, guys, get your thoughts into the comment section below. Please do smash a like on the video if you haven't done so already. It helps the channel out a massive amount. We're about 60 subscribers away from 10,000 as well. So if you are new to the channel, please do hit that subscribe button. Helps us out an awful lot. And like I said, get your comments into the comment section below and we will go through them as always. But look, guys, we are going to start with some of the nonsense that's been going on today. And it's typical from the English media surrounding Manchester United and surrounding the lack of story that's around United now, with, the manager's job being, secured, with, positivity coming out for once around Manchester United. But the English media don't allow that because it doesn't get clicks and it doesn't get traffic to their site. What does sell when it comes to sport in England more than anything else is negative stories about Manchester United. And Jamie Jackson has been speaking absolute wibble today. He says Erik Ten Hag's willingness to accept Jason Wilcox's tactical suggestion that he uses Bruno Fernandes as a false nine in the FA Cup final was a key factor to the Dutchman retaining his job. As Ten Hag considered his tactics for the FA Cup final with reinstating Højlund as an option, he decided that the best approach was the suggestion of Wilcox, that Guardiola's possession-based game could be countered by a false nine system. Now, riddle me this, okay? If Jason Wilcox is such a fucking master technician or tactical wizard and tactical manager, why isn't he up there with the likes of Pep Guardiola, with the likes of Jurgen Klopp, with the likes of Carlo Ancelotti at a big club? If he's given instructions to Erik Ten Hag before an FA Cup final on how to beat Man City, and basically telling him what he needs to do and what he should be doing. It's absolute nonsense. Like, it's been claimed that, Erik Ten Hag's willingness to accept a suggestion from Wilcox to use Bruno Fernandes as the false nine was a key factor in him keeping his job. Now, the journalists running this story seem to forget that Erik Ten Hag has played Bruno Fernandes as a false nine long before Jason Wilcox was appointed. If you go back as early as March, Bruno Fernandes was played as a false nine at the Etihad against Manchester City, and that was before Wilcox arrived. So it's ridiculous to think that, this isn't something the Dutchman, Erik Ten Hag, the bald, beautiful man, would have thought up by himself. The knives are out for Erik Ten Hag. The knives are absolutely out for Erik Ten Hag. But the one thing I will say, the majority of the United fan base are sticking with their manager, which I love to see. And we know that Ineos are doing that now as well. But like I said, we say this an awful lot about a pinch of salt, a pinch of salt, a pinch of salt. A pinch of salt is so relevant today. It's not even funny. With all of these nonsense, lies, blatant lies coming out about Erik Ten Hag, absolute wibble. I have to say, I'm absolutely disgusted with it. Another report today from the Times suggested that Erik Ten Hag is reluctant to cede power to Ineos when it comes to transfers. Ineos want to give more power to the recruitment team when it comes to signings, but it is written in Erik Ten Hag's present contract that he has a veto on all potential purchases. It goes on then to say as well, Erik Ten Hag and his advisors are expected to take a bullish approach to contract negotiations with Ineos. Ten Hag will not blindly accept what is put in front of him and wants to feel empowered and not be a lame duck manager. So he wants signings to be made that improve the squad, and he wants them to be through the door before Man United begin pre-season tour in the United States. Look, we're talking again here that journalists that knew absolutely nothing this time yesterday. We knew nothing. This time yesterday, we didn't know whether Erik Ten Hag was going to be Manchester United manager. Nobody knew. Absolutely nobody knew, other than the powers that be at Manchester United, and probably Erik Ten Hag knew at this time yesterday as well. David Ornstein broke it, and within 12 hours, every journalist was coming out with stories about Erik Ten Hag, about his contract, about what happened, about who we were talking to, about potential meetings with Ineos, Dave Brailsford, so on and so forth. It's all nonsense. It's all absolute nonsense. And the reason for it is that it creates clicks, it creates traffic to these, to these media outlets, whether it be websites, whether it be by newspapers, whatever the case may be. Absolute nonsense. And it's really put a downer today on what should have really been a positive day for United with Erik Ten Hag staying on as manager. Another report then from Matt Lawton in the Daily Telegraph says most of the Manchester United players are said to be pleased the uncertainty over the managerial situation has now been ended and that the club can move on with their summer plans. He says shocked Manchester United players thought Erik Ten Hag would be sacked before finding out he is staying at the club. United players only found out the club had decided to keep Ten Hag when the news broke publicly late on Tuesday night. A source said the overriding reaction to the news among the players seems to be surprise. They didn't really have a clue about what was going on. So what? Are you just, again, whatever this may be true, and it's good that the players are probably on board with it, but I wanted to bring this one in because how do you know? Have you got in contact with the majority of Manchester United players? Has the source that you're using got in contact with the majority of the United players? Is that source in the group chat on WhatsApp with the Manchester United first team squad? I highly doubt it. These reporters and these media outlets, it's more important for them to be first than it is to be right. And that's a huge, huge mistake when it comes to journalism. And it's where a lot of the fan base is divided. And I'm sure it's not only with Manchester United. It's absolutely elevated when it comes to Manchester United because we're the biggest club in England, one of, if not the biggest club in the world, and negative headlines sell. So we have to take it with a pinch of salt, and look, that's what we'll try and do continuously on this channel, and we'll call out the nonsense when we hear it. But like I said, I just wanted to kind of make the point that absolute wibble from an awful lot of outlets in England today and even abroad, and it's not nice to see. It really isn't. Let's get through some of your comments here and see what you guys are thinking. Oshin says, pure nonsense, absolute wibble. Wilcox was an absolute melt of a player. He's just British, so typical British spinning against the foreign coach. Wilcox couldn't lace Erik Ten Hag's boots, tactically speaking. Yeah, and look, I'm under no illusion here that Jason Wilcox is going to have an input in the way Manchester United play in the future. He's a technical director. That's part of his role, to be, to have some kind of input in what way we play. And I think, what it annoys me is that these reports are sensationalizing what he's doing. I'm sure he has had a number of sit-down meetings with Erik Ten Hag about how Manchester United are, how we want to play going forward, the types of players we're going to try and attract, certain style of play, so on and so forth. And if Erik Ten Hag didn't agree with Jason Wilcox and the overall way that Ineos and, the new structure want to go, then he would have been gone by now. You know what I mean? Erik Ten Hag has a certain way of playing, and it seems to align with the way that the new structure of Ineos and, Jason Wilcox, and if it's Dan Ashworth, whoever it may be, want to play also. And if that wasn't the case, Erik Ten Hag would be out the door by now. But to suggest that Jason Wilcox told Erik Ten Hag how to set up the team against Manchester City in the FA Cup final is absolute bullshit. It's absolute bullshit. It really, really is. And for anybody to believe it, like, I put up a TikTok today, and it was about player power now being over at Manchester United, given the fact that Ineos have backed Erik Ten Hag, and, Erik Ten Hag stays, Jadon Sancho will go, and a number of different examples. The amount of people in the chat, Manchester United fans, who are now scrambling, in desperation because they got it wrong. That he's going to get sacked, he's going to get sacked, he's going to get sacked. Now they're all saying he'll be gone by October. It'll be another waste of a season because they'll sack him in December. Absolute nonsense. Absolute nonsense. And it's all stemming from these kinds of reports coming out from the mainstream media that are trying to divide the fan base so they can make money. It's as simple as that. Simple as that. Danny says, the English media are a complete joke. They know nothing, so they will talk shit, hoping they will be right. Instead of being happy for Ten Hag, they are using him to grow their grow up. Let's see, what else have we got down here? Wilcox, my whole, was a mediocre player himself. Oshin says, I think Ten Hag should give Ineos his list of 3 options, not what Ineos want him to agree to. Well, yeah, look, I mean, if some of these reports are, to be suggested, Ten Hag has a veto, supposedly, in his current contract. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. So, look, that remains to be seen. But, yeah, I mean, I don't think Erik Ten Hag is reluctant to give up power. I think Erik Ten Hag is, and we've said this before, he's well able to work within a structured football club. He'd done it at Ajax, where there was layers of people above him that were, employed to identify and scout players that fit in with the Ajax way of playing football. Manchester United have a similar ethos around our football club about how we like to play football, similar to Ajax. Now, we haven't implemented that in a long, long time. And I think Erik Ten Hag is the closest manager we've had since Ferguson to implement the way Manchester United should play. He is well able to work within a structure, with a director of football, with a technical director, with a scouting department going out there. He will have an input. He is not going to be a lapdog like a Graham Potter or a Gareth Southgate. He's going to want to have some kind of input in it. And Ineos will listen to him. They will listen to him. They're not stupid. They're not going to just turn around and go, no, we've got this. We've got this. We own Nice in the French league. We've got this. Nonsense. Jim Ratcliffe is a smart man. He employs people around him who are experts in their area. Erik Ten Hag is an expert at being a manager and knowing what he needs and knowing what he wants. He will be brought into the fold to give his opinion on what we need going forward to improve. Absolutely, he will. Tariq says, Erik Ten Hag out? Yeah, you're an idiot. Oshin says, remember too that Ineos's communication director started last week. He must be working overtime with all this spin, I'd say that. Let's see. Wilcox couldn't direct traffic up a one-way street, says says Oshin. Let's see. Tariq says, Erik Ten Hag finished 8th with a minus goal difference, and you reward him with a new contract. He also got to 3 cup finals in 2 years. He won 2 of them. He got us into Champions League football in his first year. He got us into Europa League football last season with the most injuries anyone has ever had in a season. He's promoting youth. He is a disciplinarian. He's not allowing the dressing room to rule the club. You're an idiot if you want Erik Ten Hag out. Just because he finished in 8th last season, a really poor season with massive injuries and underperforming players, and not being back properly in the transfer window both last summer and in January because the club was being sold, So you need to open your eyes, I'm afraid, Tariq. Young Lion says, evict Greenwood is better, not just piss off Greenwood. I don't know what that means. But yeah, in relation to Erik Ten Hag, guys, and a renewed contract, reports have been coming out today, again from the Telegraph, suggesting that Erik Ten Hag is expected to sign a 2-year contract extension. Now, look, I mean, I could have told you it's probably going to be a 2-year contract extension. It will mean he'll have 3 years left to run. Now, I'm pretty sure he does already have a... You know the way United previously used to put that 1-year clause into everybody's contract where you can trigger it for a final year? I think he would have had that in his deal already. And, signing a new contract, regardless of what the length of it is, I think is vitally important because it goes to show the support that's there for him. And not just for the current crop of players that are there, but any potential players that are coming in the future. Erik Ten Hag is here to stay. Ineos want him. Ineos are happy with him. And, unless he absolutely, falls off the face of the cliff in terms of performances with the first team, then he will be Manchester United manager for at least another season. So I'm really happy with that. And I'm happy that Ineos finally, Manchester United in general, have backed a manager properly and said, we're not allowing the players to run the dressing room anymore. The manager is in charge. We're sticking with him. And you will see the likes of Sancho leaving. You will see the likes of Greenwood leaving. We know that the likes of, and we'll get onto it in a minute, there are, academy players that will be up for sale, and we'll talk about it in a moment. But yeah, I'm really happy with the fact that he's going to be signing a new contract. And if it's 2 years, if it's 3 years, if it's a 1-year extension on what he currently has with the option of another year, then brilliant. As long as, he gets a sign, I'm happy. Who would you rather? Tariq says, Oshin, there we go. It's all well and good shouting and roaring that Erik Ten Hag shouldn't be the manager, but let's have a constructive conversation here. I've given you my argument on all the positives he's done. You named one negative, which is finishing in 8th. I give you 7 or 8 positives since he's been manager. And if you want him gone, tell me who should replace him rather than just shouting and roaring. Klopp finished 8th. Should he have been sacked? There you go. Absolutely. Who should the manager be? Says Darryl then. Erik Ten Hag in. Tariq out. Says Danikin. Danny says, I'm delighted and over the moon that the Man United curse is over and we're sticking by the manager, not the players. Player power is over. I believe Erik Ten Hag can do good under a proper structure. Arsenal for Life says Erik Ten Hag deserves a long contract. It's hard to know whether you're being sarcastic there or not. But you of all people as an Arsenal fan should know that sticking by a manager can bear fruit, given, the fact that Arteta hasn't, won a trophy in 5 years now. And the only trophy he did win was with Unai Emery's team. So it's the first time I've seen you since you bought the league again. Hard luck on that. Oh God, happy days. Right, want to move it on. I want to talk a little bit about Dan Ashworth. Reports coming out today again from Mike McGrath in the Daily Telegraph. He said Manchester United are nowhere near close to agreeing a deal for Dan Ashworth, as Newcastle want 15 million plus add-ons for him to be released from his contract. It goes on to say Manchester United are sticking to their valuation of around 3 million for Ashworth, and are refusing to be held to ransom over Newcastle's compensation demands for the sporting director. Now, look, I've made my thoughts clear on this, a number of times already, that I do think, while I do agree that, we need to stand our ground and we need to be resolute when it comes to other clubs taking advantage of Manchester United. It's happened far too long, especially in the transfer window over the last 10 years, where we've overpaid for players, we've given players too much money, so on and so forth. I do agree that, holding your ground when it comes to, deals like this, whether it be for a player, whether it be for a staff member, I can understand that. However, if Newcastle want 15 million and we're offering 3, that's a massive, massive difference. Would Newcastle be happy to come down to 8 or 9 million? They probably would, to be honest. So I've made my thoughts clear. I think we should try and get Dan Ashworth done as quickly as possible, because 8 or 9 million, if you look at it in the grand scheme of things, is a drop in the ocean when it comes to the deals that he can potentially get done if you can get players for cheaper. If we're looking at, let's say, for example, João Neves, is 100 million euro. We spend 10 million to get Dan Ashworth in now, okay? And he saves us 15 million on the negotiations for João Neves. He's paid for himself. It's as simple as that. So that's why I think, while I do agree we shouldn't be taken advantage of in the transfer market and with other clubs, the Dan Ashworth one is a little bit different. I would like to see us get that done as quickly as possible. Pay a little bit extra if it means getting them in early, because I do think we will make it up on the back end. But yeah, I mean, it's we've said before that Dan Ashworth not being in place is only setting us back. And it's the last piece of the jigsaw. It has to be said. Dan Ashworth is the last piece of the jigsaw. We've got our technical director. We've got our new CEO. We've got our manager confirmed for next season. Dan Ashworth is the last one. He is the last piece of the jigsaw. And if we can get him in this transfer window, pay a little bit extra than you would like to pay. He doesn't have to serve his gardening leave. Get him in. Get him working on deals. And let's attack the summer transfer window. That's what I would like to see happening more than anything else. Let's see. Jason says we need a goalkeeper. We don't need a goalkeeper. 2 right backs, 1 left back, 2 right backs, 1 centre back, 1 centre midfielder, 1 right winger, and 2 strikers. I disagree with the majority of that. I don't think we need a new goalkeeper. We need 1 right back, probably 1 left back, 2 centre backs, 1 centre midfielder, and 1 striker. That's what I would say. Darryl says, don't forget Lego here won the Finnish second cup. Typical United valuations. It just makes us seem amateurish. I think amateurish is a little bit harsh. I think it's a little bit harsh. I understand we should be getting these guys in as quickly as possible, but setting a precedent now for, not being taken advantage of over the next however long Ineos are going to be there brokering deals, I think it is important to do that as soon as possible. We're not going to overpay. You're not taking advantage of Man United anymore in the transfer market. And yeah, I think that's probably the best way forward long term. Danny says, in my opinion, it would have been great to have Dan Ashworth in place before the transfer window, but we can't keep letting teams take advantage of us. Hopefully them days are over. I'd say Ashworth is still working behind the scenes. Has to be, says Finn. Yeah, you would never know. I don't know the legalities around it. Is he not allowed to make contact? I mean, I'm sure he has WhatsApp on his phone. I don't think anyone is going to be looking into it. I don't know. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. If he isn't, it's time wasted. If he is, then happy days. I don't think he can, Finn, still technically employed by Newcastle. Yeah, I don't know how gardening leave works. Let's have a look. How does gardening leave work? Gardening leave is a type of absence where an employee, upon giving notice of resignation, is requested not to return to the workplace but continues to receive pay. Yeah, so he is being paid by Newcastle as we speak, because he's on gardening leave. Now, what we do have to take into consideration here as well is that Newcastle are currently without a director of football as well, because Dan Ashworth is on gardening leave. They've currently got no director of football either. So is it not in their best interest to lower their valuation of him as well? And I understand that they don't want to be taken advantage of either. So, it swings and roundabouts here. But yeah, I mean, the sooner we can get him in, the better. Might have a cheeky little burner phone, says Finn. Maybe so. I mean, carrier pigeon, still a thing. A couple of tin cans and a string. Hello. Yeah, this is Dan. Sign Inacio from Sporting Lisbon. What'd you say there, Dan? So yeah, there you know what I mean. Yeah, look, let's see what happens. Let's see what happens with Dan Ashworth. Right, guys, let's move it on and talk a little bit about transfers. It is transfer season. When is the transfer window opening, by the way? When is the transfer window open? It's open on... Oh, it's open in 2 days' time. Okay, happy days, right? So 2 days' time, summer transfer window will be open. Now, some big news today. It's coming out from The Guardian that Manchester United will listen to offers for 3 homegrown players, with one certain to be sold. Now, first and foremost, the one that's certain to be sold is Mason Greenwood, and we'll get on to him in a moment. There has been an update on him. The other 2 are the ones you can see on the screen. Scott McTominay and Marcus Rashford. The report says, let me see, let's get down to the good stuff, blah, blah, blah. The Mail Online claims that the Red Devils will listen to offers from Marcus Rashford, Scott McTominay, while on loan Mason Greenwood will be moved on permanently. Sanctionings ongoing will be crucial in increasing United's budget, and selling homegrown products means a substantial financial fair play boost, giving the club will be making straight profit from their sales. Now, I don't want... First and foremost, let me make it clear here. I don't want Manchester United to turn into Chelsea and Todd Bowley and selling homegrown players because it's pure profit. Now, we're talking here about an article written saying that Mason Greenwood, Scott McTominay and Marcus Rashford are up for sale. And I don't want us to sell them just because it's pure profit. The reason I would like to think that McTominay and Rashford are up for sale is because maybe they're not good enough. And if that's the case, then I'm all good. I don't want us to be getting into the habit of selling homegrown players every summer because it works towards financial fair play and it's pure profit. That's not how we want to run the football club. I think the fact that these 2 are up for sale is because Scott McTominay is not good enough and Marcus Rashford is massively inconsistent. And I think that's, more important than anything. I might have to cut this live short. The little lad is awake. Give me 2 seconds, lads. I'll be back in 2 seconds. Sorry, little lad is awake. Give me 2 seconds. Right, lads, I have to go. I apologise. Yeah, the little lad is upset and he's crying, and my missus has gone out, so we have to cut it short. Look, I got through the majority of stuff, has to be said. Greenwood to Juventus. United have an asking price of 50 million. Supposedly, he's agreed personal terms with them. Yeah, I'll get into it as much as I can tomorrow. Lille president confirms Yoro and David can leave the club this summer, and we've been linked with both of them, a striker and a centre back. So yeah, it's interesting there, and United back away from De Ligt. Yeah, he's upset still. Yeah, I'm going to have to leave it there, guys. Apologies for cutting the stream short. Yeah, I have to go to the little lad because he's upset. Thanks for watching. I'll be back again tomorrow night from 9. Like I said, link is in the description. Follow Football Community channel. Check out the merch. Hit like and subscribe. I appreciate it as always. Sorry for cutting it short. I'll see you tomorrow. Take it easy.